So hello everybody, my name is Alex Castellanos. I am the learning tech tutor here at the College of St. Scholastica. Basically, my job just tends to help students with software and technologies the school acquires for us. So using Brightspace, Google Drive, Google Docs, and such, I just help students understand that better and give them a little rundown of stuff. And today we're going to be talking about technology in big papers. And what that means is just we're looking at different technologies and tools that are online so we can help students write papers better, research for projects better, and overall just feel more comfortable working on stuff online. So I'm going to share my screen here. Perfect. And one of the first things we're going to talk about here today is Grammarly. So Grammarly is actually a Google extension. So you can go to the Chrome store here. And once you're in the Chrome store, you can go type in Grammarly. Wants to pop up. A faster way is just doing this. Grammarly, there you go. And Grammarly is just an online assistant, so it basically just helps you check spelling errors and mistakes on your paper. It's a tool that helps eliminate writing errors, gives you real-time feedback when you're using Google Docs, Gmail. It also works when you're using Twitter and LinkedIn, so it helps a lot for a professional standpoint there as well. You can add it to Google Chrome and it becomes an extension. And what that means is that once you add on to it, it's actually going to end up here. And you can pin this to the main bar so you can see it better. And whenever you click on it, you can always go straight to the Grammarly page, which is what I'm on right now, by hitting My Grammarly. And then it sends you to any documents you're working on. You can see your account information. And you can also see apps here. And apps is basically showing that Grammarly works in a multitude of formats. So it can work on your Windows computer, on Chrome. If you're on the go a lot, it works on iPhone and iPad, and also Android. And some of the biggest things about Grammarly, like I said before, is it's really good at checking for spelling errors. For example, this test document I have here, it's telling me like, hey, don't say a third, say the third. And then maybe you don't like this phrase here, you want to replace that. So it's a really good way of just checking your grammar and such. And one of the big things it does is it actually scores your documents. So say you're writing a really long paper, you can copy and paste your entire paper onto Grammarly, and it scores out of 100 points how your paper's doing, how long it is, how long it takes to talk about it, and then how your vocabulary is and such, and if it's readable to people. And then the sidebar here, you can also see it talks about a few things like, okay, how many spelling errors do you have? Is your spelling clear? Is it engaging to your reader? Is it delivering like how you want it to deliver? So that just means like, is it being informative? Is it being too passive? Is it being too neutral? So Grammarly is a really good tool for allowing you to focus on your papers and such. Let's see. And our next tool here is going to be the My CSS library. So whenever you log into your school account for My CSS and you're working on a paper, first thing I recommend doing is going to your help and resources. And right here, you're actually going to see the library tab. So clicking on that brings you to the school's library page. And I recommend this for students when it comes to researching because a lot of students, the first thing they're going to do is like, okay, go to Google, type stuff in, find Wikipedia. And the issue with that is it's really hard to find credible, good sources. And it's also, you're going all over the place, like simply typing, for example, you need to learn about the College of St. Scholastica. You Google that, you're going to get a bunch of different documents and websites. Well, using the school library, you can actually get a more in-depth look at stuff that's much more organized. When entering the school library, the first thing you see here is what do you need help with? So if you're a student looking for a specific book, article, or even just a base like for your research, I recommend using this because it sends you to a librarian your question, and then they can check it and get in contact with you soon. And if you're doing research for a paper, I recommend doing this ahead of time, just because it may take some time for a librarian to get to you to understand everything you're trying to look for, and help you out with everything you need. And also, if you're new to researching using the library tool and trying to figure everything out, there's actually a tab up here called Getting Started. Clicking Getting Started brings you to this, and this is super useful. I use this all the time when I was first writing papers and such, my freshman and sophomore years. Getting Started is basically just a step-by-step, like, hey, here's our reference section, here's all our databases and stuff, how to cite your sources in different manners, and just gives you a really good standpoint of where to look for stuff. The books and ebooks is exactly what it sounds like. That's a more book-heavy section of the library. So it says all the books we have currently in our catalog that are in the library you can check out. And then articles and websites kind of speak for themselves. It's just online articles and websites to help you look for stuff. So this is a really good tool for anybody that needs to research stuff, just because it's a good start, it's good in depth, and everything you need can be found here pretty much. Let's see. Something I recommend doing for a lot of people is when they're looking for a reference for something, go to reference, go to your master list of subject encyclopedias down here, and it brings you to this. And now you can search any department. For example, I am a computer science major, so I would go to science and technology. And then from here, I can go to mathematics and computers or technology. And it brings me to this little database of encyclopedias and stuff for everything specifically meant for me. So if you're ever working on a class or anything and you're like, oh, I don't know where to find any of this work for it, this is a really good thing to do. For example, I used it for my history class when I was doing US history last semester. And I was in this section here, the history of the United States, for a very long time. Let's exit out of that. Let's see, and if you're struggling with using the library, or if you're having issues finding a specific thing, like, oh, I'm trying to find this specific article or this specific book, but I just can't seem to find it in our library's resources, that's because the library is in depth, but there is a limit to everything it has. So that's when it's also really good to message a librarian, see if they can help you out finding an outside source. But if for whatever reason you don't have the time or anything, you can always just go to Google here and type in Google Scholar. And that brings you to this page. Google Scholar is basically similar to Google. It's an online search engine, but it specifically looks for articles related to a topic you give. I don't recommend using it first. I always recommend students go to the library first to get a more in-depth research. But Google Scholar is a great find for if you just can't find that specific thing you're looking for. One thing to note here is if you're looking for a specific thing, you can go to advanced search there in the tab, and you can search the article based off the words in the article, phrases they use, if it's in the title of the article you're looking for specifically, or anywhere in the page, maybe the author or publisher you know about, so you can find that. And another thing is, for example, you're searching St. Scholastica's College. You can find when articles are made at what time. How do you want to be relevance by? You can sort by date or sort by relevance. You can specifically look for review articles or any type of article, including patents, including citations. Tool here is called Create Alerts. So if you're not finding an article you like, you can go to Create Alert. And in Create Alert, you make yourself a little alert query, which means anytime a new article is published onto Google, you'll actually get an email about it, and Google will be like, hey, you were searching for this earlier. Here's an article that just popped up. You might want to check it out. So it's really good if you're struggling to find something and you're like, I just need to be notified when it's out there. All right, and then just type Google Scholar here to get out. And next we'll move on to another piece of Google, Google Docs. Got this little test page here. So Google Docs is probably where almost everyone's going to be writing their paper. Good thing about it is when it comes to Google Docs, there's about 3 tools I always look for almost immediately. The first tool I want to talk about here is the citation tool. So if you're ever doing a research paper, an essay, almost always your professor is going to want you to cite your sources. And a lot of students struggle with doing that just because they've never cited sources properly in the past, or they're using third-party outside resources to make their citations, which is sometimes not credible. So Google Docs has this little fix. So if you go to your tools section and click citations, you get this little pop-up here, and you can actually click what type of citation you want. So MLA, APA, or even Chicago Author Day. Usually MLA is what you're going to be using. And you want to just add citation source. And now any type of source you have, be it a book section, website, journal article, film, TV series, episode miscellaneous. Usually it's going to be a website you're looking at. You can actually just enter the URL of the website you're using. In this case, I did the Wikipedia article I had earlier. So let's see if I can do this quick. And you can do search. So let's try it again. Go back to the Wikipedia article here. There you go. So yeah, if you're searching for a website, you can copy the URL of the website. And from there, now you can search and you find it. And it's saying it's missing the publisher year and the contributors. That doesn't matter. You can actually still cite it. So you can say continue, and it lets you fill in any information you're missing if needed. And then from there, you can just say add citation source, and now you have a perfectly good citation here. And you don't even have to copy and paste a bunch of different citations separately. You can actually add all your citations at once, and then you can just say insert work cited. And as you see here, it just creates the citations for you. So while you're researching or doing your papers and such, it's always good to keep adding your sources as you go along using Google Docs citation section. And then once everything's done, you can just say insert work cited, and it makes the whole list for you. Another tool in Google Docs to be using is, if you go to tools, is the dictionary function. It's going to be less used than other tools, but it's always nice to have. For example, if you're doing researching and copy and pasting information, just have all your notes in one place, but you're struggling to understand certain words or phrases, you can actually just highlight. So let's see, let's highlight the word expansion, type that into the dictionary, and it gives you a full noun list of everything that it means for the word. And that's just a good way to keep everything in check. And speaking of getting data from other places, whenever you're copying information from a different website or a different source, normally that website's going to have formatting to it. So it's going to cause your paper to go all over the place. Like maybe some words are darker than others, or words are larger than others, or they keep the formation of like a previous website. Whenever that happens, you can actually go to format and say clear formatting, and clicking that takes away all the formations of that paper. So everything goes back to how you want it. So for example, Google Docs is Arial size 11 for their paper size. So hitting formation clearing just makes everything go to that default. So it's really helpful if you're ever copying and pasting from separate websites. And our next thing here, let's exit out of this. Is once you're done writing your paper, working and stuff, you go to your academic help and support section here. So once you're on the My CSS homepage, go into academic help and support, and then go to information and resources. And from there, you actually can see we have our tutoring center and writing center. So if you go into the writing center, you actually get all the information about the writing center for our college, ways to get help stopping by a center or submitting your papers via Google Docs or Word to their website or email, how to contact them, and then learn more about fixing your papers and such as lighting up on writing videos. And this is just a good source of helping you with the resources and teaching you better ways of like writing better papers, grammar, making your papers more interesting to talk about. So it's always a good online source for students to get help. We'll go back to the main page. Another thing as well is if you ever type in smart thinking on the My CSS search tool here, you'll actually be sent to the Smart Thinking website, which is accessible to any student in Scholastica. It's just going to ask a few things like, hey, checking your system. And once you have an account and log in, you can actually look for writing help up in the upper tab here. And this is just getting like essay center, grammar, documentation review. Maybe you're speak a second language, such as Spanish, and need help with that. Resume or cover letters, business writing, anything you need help with, you click that box to get more specifics. And then you give an explanation of like what you're struggling with, what you need help with, upload the document itself, and then someone will review that file and then come in contact with you to help you out. So that's a really good resource to have for students, just because it gives them another option of searching for help if researching on their own isn't working, if they're struggling to like make proper grammar, then they can use this. And then finally here, right now I'm actually going to stop sharing the screen, is I want to talk about a few like tips and tricks when it comes to writing papers I've learned as a student over the years. One of the biggest things is try to keep distractions to a minimum. I know, including me in the past, like a bunch of students tend to have like YouTube videos or Netflix playing in the background, and that's their way of like, oh, I'm just writing my paper, but having something in the background to pass the time. I actually recommend not doing that, just because that can lead to easy distractions. Maybe you'll stop focusing on your paper as much, and then you'll commit more errors and grammar mistakes as you go. So it's always good to try to do something else instead. For example, playing classical music in the background or any equivalent helps a lot, just because it allows you to focus more on your paper without having like too many outside distractions or dead silence in the room. And another thing is try not getting sucked into social media. A lot of people tend to look on their phones, checking Instagram or Twitter, or even while on their computer, they might even check their LinkedIn account. It's always a good thing to keep that to a minimum. And if you go on Chrome for extensions, there's a lot of things like ad blockers. There's Chrome extensions that block entire websites for a time being. For example, you can do like, I want to block YouTube for 2 hours because I want to focus on this specific paper for a long time. So I always recommend, searching out there for ways to like keep distractions to a minimum. And always give yourself breaks from time to time. Never rush a paper. Give yourself time to work on it. Don't do anything last minute. If you've been sitting on your desk working on your computer, trying to finish an essay for the last 3 hours, let yourself stand up, stretch, take time to take care of yourself, and never just rush things, or else you're just going to have a paper that's just not to its full potential. And yeah, I believe that is all the talking points I wanted to go through. So if anyone has any questions.
I think one piece of advice I would say is making sure that you have your research all compiled a couple days before like the paper is actually due, because it might take some time for the library to get the articles sent to you, and not all the articles are fully available all the time. And so I found that like a couple days before is sort of a research deadline, and then really work on the finessing of it. And then to also like, if you're creating notes related to the research articles, to like have the cited, already create the cited piece on a Google Doc, and then put your notes below that, so that you can easily kind of copy and paste at the end. If you use one of the notes related to that article, then you just copy and paste it. So I think you're spot on. Breaking things up into little pieces is ideally the way to go. But we know how that always goes, because the Writing Center and Smart Thinking can give you feedback. You just have to get something to them 36 hours, 40 hours before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the library is probably one of the best tools, because I know a lot of students are like time management. They don't have enough time to check stuff, or are other types of students that tend to procrastinate. The library is going to be
Right.
one of their best bets to do like small research on their own. But writing center, smart thinking, uh, asking thy librarians themselves
Yeah.
is just it helps so much if you just give them time.
Right. Like as soon as you get an assignment, start like putting a chat into the librarian. What are your thoughts on this topic? Do you think that there's enough out there on this topic? And start thinking about what that thesis is from actually the start. And I'll have people like use the writing center from the beginning to like kind of get used to that process too. So, yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I think I'll stop recording here because I think we are good to go.